morning, and welcome to another edition of Brewin on Broad Street. I'm Steve Snyder, entrepreneur in residence here at Gesmer Updegrove, and I am thrilled to have my friend Mark Rodman here with me. Mark, welcome.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me, Steve.
Mark is the founder and CEO of Xtra. I think of it as a search firm that specializes in very passionate, driven, successful revenue drivers. How did I do?
Perfect. Yeah. To be a little more specific, I help Xtra Efforts. I started Xtra Effort in 2001. So for 23 years, I've been helping small and medium-sized, typically VC-backed or private equity-backed companies to recruit sales folks, sales engineers, customer success professionals, all revenue-related, as well as the leadership people that oversee that.
So a real focus on scaling and driving revenue.
Very much so, yeah.
So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs, business owners who want to increase their odds of success doing a search?
Right.
What advice do you have for them in preparation for working with you and doing a search?
Well, oftentimes people may think of what they want to accomplish. They approach the search by thinking almost like in a petri dish environment, the attributes that they're looking for in a candidate. And what I would suggest is, instead of thinking about, oh, we need somebody who's polished and professional and competitive and has sold and has made quota, to first start off with, what are you trying to accomplish with this role? And what are you trying to accomplish over the next given number of months? What would success look like? And so as an example, if you're looking to do 15 deals a year at $50,000 per deal, you may need somebody who's a lot of velocity and has evangelized the concept if it's a startup that is not previously known. And whereas originally you may think, I want somebody from SAP that has sold million-dollar deals, who's polished and sharp and competitive, but you may really not want that. You may want somebody who's more consistent with what you're trying to accomplish. And then the second thing I would suggest is to really think about what makes your company special. So much of the focus may be on the type of person you're looking for, and you put so much emphasis on the interview, you don't prepare enough on why would your company be attractive to such a candidate. And usually the default is, well, the technology offering is very attractive. Well, that's true, but in addition to the technology, what about your culture? What other people are currently in that role that are thriving? Why are they thriving? What is the career path potential? What are your customers saying about you? So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
And the advice that you're giving is all grounded in your background,
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I grew up south of Boston in Randolph, Mass. I went to UMass Amherst. I met my wife at NCR, where I cut my teeth. And then afterwards, I was in sales and sales leadership roles with consulting firms and tech firms. And it was around 2000, I was sending out a FedEx package to a potential prospect, and it was intercepted by the CEO of the company, and he didn't like what was in that content. And he was so meddling in my business, it must have struck a chord with my 4 generations of entrepreneurial background. My great-grandfather was on a horse selling schmatters or clothing in the city. My other grandfather sold clothing. And then the other grandfather on the other side was a floor layer. My father started his own CPA firm. And I just said, I think it's in my destiny. I don't like people meddling in my own business. And with all those years of sales and technology, I thought as a recruiter, I could be unusually credible when talking to sales professionals about what they're trying to accomplish, what the technology is, and my ability to feed back to them the type of person they're looking for, and to expand upon that and to provide more value because of my background. And it all came together, and that was 23 years ago.
So I know how passionate you are about executive search and making terrific placements. What makes Xtra Effort so special?
I think, Steve, it's the first 15 years as a professional. I was in sales and consulting, selling technology services and consulting services. So it gives me a real strong appreciation for the solutions that our clients provide, as well as the demands of a go-to-market environment, including sales execution, the sales engineering, the customer success. It enables me to ask, I think, pointed questions about what makes them special, and the ability to draw out and to flesh things out, like the average deal size, the market they're going after, if it's direct versus channels, if it's an evangelical sale where they're evangelizing a lesser known brand or more mature, if it's a high velocity sale versus a bigger ticket sale, and the ability to flesh all those things out and then feed it back to them to say, here's what you're trying to accomplish. Here are the attributes that I understand associated with what you're trying to accomplish. Is that accurate? And it gives them a chance to reflect on it, and then feed back to me what they heard me say, and the synthesis and the going back and forth results in a more qualified pool of target candidates to go after. And then in addition to that, it enables them and me to have a common document and oral talking points to a candidate as to why they would want to join their company, and not only including the technology itself, but again, their culture, other salespeople there that are thriving, other people that have advanced in that position, why the enterprises have bought from them, and how they saw competitive advantages from them versus the enterprise, and the ability to synthesize or to discover that process, discover those things, and then bring candidates, most importantly, and the ability to get candidates excited about it and refer others has resulted in kind of a fun process because of my background and staying close to those best practices.
And the process is clearly working because, as you and I have talked about recently, 80% of your new business is from existing clients.
More than ever, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it speaks volumes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for asking.
So our audience today can clearly see the passion you have for executive search and placement and placing terrific people. But I also know how passionate you are about live music events and hiking.
Yeah.
So quickly tell us, what's the most exciting live music event you've attended?
Lucinda Williams, hands down.
Really?
She has a like some entrepreneurs. She's her own person. She's a little bit irreverent. She's very irreverent. Unbelievable energy level. Her live events is fantastic. Even though she could be a little anxious, and sometimes she could even read the lyrics, which for a professional of 20 years is kind of odd. But the point is that her ability to engage in her band's fantastic, and she's a nice mix of country blues, R&B, and sometimes some really good rock. Yeah.
And I know you were recently in Nashville.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what was your favorite part of that trip?
Oh, we saw a band called Green Sky Bluegrass at the Ryman Theater, and the Ryman Theater is used to be the old Grand Old Opry Hall. You know, you're from Tennessee, and so it's a beautiful old church, a fantastic venue, and it was almost like a Dead show. I thought at first it was going to be like a bluegrass, which I'm not that familiar with, but the amount of improvisation and the audience engagement, and plus just in this historic theater, and to see my wife, it was usually pretty staid, to be grooving and dancing. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was great.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And I know you are as passionate about hiking.
Yeah.
When I say the word hike or hiking, what is the fondest memory you have of a hike, and where were you?
Yeah. I think it was with my brother and some friends up at Baxter State Park, climbing Katahdin, which is a ridge that goes up to about 5,000 feet, and it kind of drops off in both directions. It's very daunting, but it's truly a remote area. Even if you don't hike Katahdin, and you have a chance to get up to Baxter, I highly recommend it because I think it's a national forest of sorts, but it's certainly one of those places of that scale, and it's majestic, and it was beautiful, and you're really out there. Yeah, that was a good trip.
Will you take me with you next time?
Absolutely.
I'd love it.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Thank you for being with me today.
Sure.
For being with us.
Yeah.
And
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're so welcome, and thank you for joining us in this episode of Brewin on Broad Street.